Yo, it's your boss. In the video, wearing a lifting belt can increase your strength substantially. Some even say by 10 to 15%. In this video, I'm going to show you how it works, when to use it, and when not to. So to first start off with, I'm going to show you how to use it, and I'm going to actually show you how to actually put the belt on. What you want to do is basically, it's very similar to if you put a belt on, like just a regular belt for your pants, but obviously this belt is thicker. You want to basically wrap it where your lower back is, and then you want to make it as tight as possible, but not too tight. You want to make it like tight enough where it like doesn't fall off when you're squatting, and like you feel secure, and where you're going to be able to be stable enough, specifically your spine. So this is where I would put it. That's basically how you put on the belt. I'm going to take it off real quick because I also want to show you how to brace your core, because you don't want to just put on the belt and not brace your core. So when you put on the belt, you're going to suck in all the air, like your stomach and everything, and then you're just going to brace your core. So you're basically going to just act as if you're about to get punched in your stomach to get ready for the impact from that punch. That's basically the idea you want to do. So why should you even use a belt, and what does it do? So when using a belt, it increases your strength substantially, like I said earlier on at the beginning of this video, because your spine will be stable. You won't have like a lot of movement in your spine. This will obviously allow you to reduce the chance of you being injured when you're lifting, especially a high amount of weight, and it also will allow you to produce more force when you're lifting. So let's say you're doing a squat and you don't have a belt on and you're trying to like use heavy weight, or you're just doing a certain amount of weight. So let's say you have a barbell and you're getting ready for your squat, and then you perform a squat. So you're not going to have as much force as you would if you were using a belt. So make sure you're using a belt, especially if you want to get stronger, because if your spine was just moving all over the place like this, you're not going to be able to push a lot of force out of your lift. Let's say like your legs, because we're talking about the squat right now. So like if you were squatting and your spine was moving all over the place, since you don't have a stable foundation, you're not going to be able to actually use the most amount of force as possible to actually execute the lift at your full strength. So now that I've discussed how to use a belt and how it works, now you want to know when not to use it. So you should never use a belt if you just started your lifting journey and you don't even know how to brace your core. When bracing your core, these are things you don't want to do. You don't want to suck you don't want to do like the vacuum in your core, or you don't want to like have your stomach sticking out. You want to just squeeze it and act as if you're about to get punched in the stomach. And if you don't know how to do that, you should start off with actually practicing how to brace your core before you even put a belt into the situation. And also, if you're using a weight that you can do for like 10 plus reps, you should not use a belt, because that means that weight is likely not heavy and you can do it as like a warm-up or something. So don't use a weightlifting belt if that's the case for a lift that you're doing. And speaking of lifts, you should only use a belt for specific exercises. The exercises you should not use a belt on: a bicep curl or bench press. You only need to use a belt when you need to like keep your spine in a stable position. Well, you still need to have your spine in a stable position when you're doing curls, but it's not going to impact your lift a lot compared to like if you were doing a squat and you needed your spine to be stable and straight the entire lift. And so if you're a beginner and you don't know how to brace your core, or if you're just anybody that doesn't know how to brace their core period, you don't want to use a belt yet. Now that you know when not to use the belt, when should you use a weightlifting belt? 85% of my max would be 297 pounds, so I'm just going to round it up to 300 pounds. So I wouldn't recommend you use a weightlifting belt until you get up to that heavy of a weight. So yeah, 80% and above is when you should start using a lifting belt, because that's actually when the weight actually gets like really heavy, and you're not going to be doing that weight usually for like 10 reps. And you know how I said there are exercises that you shouldn't use your weightlifting belt for? There are exercises that you should use it for. Some great examples of this would be the deadlift and the squat. For the deadlift, you definitely would need it, because when you're going down for the deadlift, a lot of people can't keep their spine straight, and this will help with the stability of your spine, because like when they're using especially a heavy weight, this is like one of the main reasons that people get injured when doing deadlifts. They just round their back. You do not want to round your back. it's not good. You could possibly break something in your lower back or like pull something, and that's obviously going to impact your lifting performance once you've fully recovered from that injury. And when you've actually learned how to properly use your core when bracing, that's when you should start using your belt, because if you don't know how to brace your core, you're not going to be able to use the belt to its full advantage, because you're going to need to brace your core when using the belt. And when using a belt, you also decrease the chance of you having lower back pain. And this video right here is what YouTube thinks you should watch next. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.